I am Dr. Heather Moore, owner of Total Performance Physical Therapy. Tonight we are going to go over posture do's and don'ts. So anybody who has watched any of my videos at all knows that I talk about posture a lot. And it's so important, and it's such a big piece that I think a lot of people miss and a lot of people don't recover fully from because they're not educated on posture. And I have a very candid conversation with almost all of my patients that come in here with back pain, neck pain. I'm not going to help you if you don't fix what's going on outside of here. I am extremely good at what I do, but unless you are able to fix the environment that you're in 12, 14 hours a day, it's not going to, what I do in here for an hour, 2 hours, a shot is not going to help you. It's not going to be able to break that cycle of going and then sitting in front of your computer or sitting in front of your phone for 12 hours and being in this position. So it's really important that you understand what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. And I spend as much time correcting posture in the other direction, the overcorrections that people make, as well as, the slump and things like that. Most people just hear posture like, okay, don't, slump forward. Well, yeah, that's only part of it. So we're going to go over some things tonight to do and not to do with posture. The first thing we're going to talk about is basically your head and how your eyes need to stay level in order for you to have good posture. So a lot of people have this misconception of that if you lower your eyes, your neck's still in good position. Well, that's not the case, because once you lower your eyes, your head's going to follow. So a lot of times we see everyone on their phone like this, down like this, okay? So when you're like this, you're going to do this, and it's going to be bad for your neck. Now, a lot of people know that, and they, okay, I won't do that anymore. I know that's bad for me. But the other correction, where you hold your phone like this, is also wrong, because what happens is you start to shrug your shoulders up, because no one can actually sit there, type, and be nice and relaxed and work on their phone for an extended period of time with their arm up like this. We're just not built like that, and nobody goes to the gym and holds their arm up just for 15 minutes for fun. So you're not really building those muscles. So there comes the problem, is the overcorrection, or the actual correction that a lot of people use, where they're using their phone now like this, they wind up not doing it correctly, because now they're up like this, and now they're going to shrug their shoulders like this. Creates a little bit different issue, more tension, especially if you carry tension in your neck. You might get numbness and tingling from this. So what's the answer? The answer is get off your phone, and I'm not kidding, and there's no better solution for it. There is no better way to have a good posture. This is a preferred posture, but you only can be in this for a few minutes. This for hours and hours and hours is absolutely 100% wrong, and you need to get out of that posture, and you need to break yourself of the phone habit. There's nobody that needs to be on their phone like this for that long. You're going to herniate your disc and things like that. So, if you get one of those little handy-dandy things on the back and you kind of hold it and you're able to do this for a few minutes, that's good. That's the correct way to do it. But any more than, 5 minutes at most, and you're going to start to do this and then wind up with, again, an overcorrection that is absolutely wrong and going to wind you in a lot of pain. The other thing you want to worry about with your head is how it's positioned. So a lot of times I talk to people and they're like, well, I sit in my recliner and I look down at my laptop, but my head is fine because it doesn't move. Well, now your head's like this. You always want to make sure that your eyes and your head are oriented exactly how they are standing up whenever you're in a posture, okay? So when you go down and you lay down in your recliner, you want to keep your head and your eyes in the same position. And you want to see where it is you're looking. Do you have to move your eyes to look at the TV? Do you have to move your head to look at your laptop? What are you doing, okay? Just saying, oh yeah, I'm lying down, my head's straight, I'm totally fine, I'm just looking with my eyes. It's not going to happen. The neck always follows where the eyes go. So just kind of a rule, when you go and you lay down at night, you want to make sure your head looks like this. If you sleep on your side, you want to have a big pillow here. It's a side sleeper pillow. I just Googled it tonight for somebody, and it was $15 at Kohl's. It just fills this gap. It's not an expensive pillow. You don't need an apparatus. You just need something that fills this gap if you lay on your side. 2 pillows doesn't do the trick because they slide. So you're going to wind up scrunching, wind up in this position, again, causing you head, neck, shoulder pain. You don't want to lay on your stomach ever. There is no good posture for that. There's a lot of things you can buy to make it okay, but by the time you're done buying everything, it goes out the window. If you lay on your back, you just want to make sure you have this curve filled. So again, it doesn't have to be a fancy pillow. You don't want down pillows. They really are not good for you. So you want to make sure that you have this part of your neck filled. You don't want to make sure, again, you want to avoid those two pillows so your neck winds up like this. You want to make sure that it looks the exact same in standing as it does laying down. Now let's talk about a posture correction. We'll stay in standing while we're here. So a lot of times with posture correction, you see a lot of people like sticking their butts out in order to stand up straight. This is, again, an incorrection or a correction, an overcorrection that's wrong. What you want to do is when you're standing, you want to kind of tuck your pelvis under and then stick your butt out and then find that halfway point in between where it is. Now I have a little bit of a heel on, so my middle balance is thrown off. That's okay. If you do have to correct for that a little bit. I don't normally wear heels, but it's just a day. So what we normally do is when you're flat, you want to have a little bit of bend in your knees. You don't want your knees locked all the way out. You just want a little bit of bend. You want to tuck your pelvis under, bring it all the way back, and then let it rest in the middle. And that's where you should stand. Another thing you should do when you're standing, that's a really good thing to do, is fidget. So if you've noticed my videos, and people have even commented on how much I move around, that's just what I do. I very rarely sit still, and I very rarely stand still because it's not good. Your muscles need movement in order for blood to get into them. So constantly fidgeting, constantly moving, shifting your weight back and forth, that's actually really healthy for your muscles and for your discs and for your joints. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. Now when you're sitting down, there's a couple of do's and don'ts. Obviously, we know now we don't sit like this, okay? Now, if you have a laptop, it's impossible for you to have good posture when you're sitting down. So you're going to either get a separate keyboard or a separate monitor. Monitor has to be at eye level at all times, and it has to be right in front of you. So you never have a monitor off to the side. You want to keep it right here, nice and eye level, and then you want to have a separate keyboard. Keyboard, arms should be at 90 degrees, okay? Elbows should be resting at 90 degrees. Wrist should be in neutral. Now, the biggest thing I see, the biggest posture don't, is when I say, okay, correct your posture, this is what happens. And everybody sits up super straight, and then they're like, my shoulders are burning. It hurts. It's going to hurt because you're doing it wrong in the other direction. So you want to make sure that you roll your shoulders up, back, drop them down, arms at 90 degrees. This is where your posture needs to be, okay? Screen straight ahead. Your feet can be flat on the floor. One of the things that I like to do, one of the things I recommend people do, is they actually drop one of their legs down. My chair is going to come forward, so just make sure you have a chair that's not on wheels and does not come up in the back. But what happens is when you drop your leg down, it automatically pulls your pelvis forward. So there's no real effort to sit in this posture. My leg is doing all the work by being down. My other leg is flat on the floor, so it's giving me nice and support. I'm not uncomfortable, so I'm able to sit like this for a long time. Again, a lot of people sit straight up, and they want to sit up, and they want to arch their back, and then they have this awkward lumbar support back here that's way too big and pushing them way too forward, and then they wind up, sitting back almost, and their back is arched, and they wind up with pain at the end of the day. They wind up with burning in their back, or they wind up with pain going down their legs. Not okay. Again, you're overcorrecting in the wrong direction. You have to be very careful with a lumbar support. I know they're out there. I know they're prevalent, and Amazon probably sells a million of them, but a lot of times it's A, not placed in the correct spot, or two, it's way too big. Okay, so you wind up with this giant curve, and it's really uncomfortable, and you're like, well, this is, every doctor says I have to have a lumbar support, so I'm going to force my way through this. If it's not comfortable, it's not fit for you, and it's not correct. You can really wind up jamming your back to get into some bad postures if you do that. So you want to really be careful of going, again, in that other direction. So those are just some quick postures, do's and don'ts that we teach on a regular basis. And like I said, if you're going for treatment, or maybe you're just in pain and need to seek treatment out, you want to make sure that you are changing your environment. You're changing your everyday routine. You're changing how you're sitting, because it doesn't matter how much therapy you go to, if you don't change what you're doing on an everyday basis, it's not going to get any better.